The story kicks off with a young man in his room celebrating his birthday. He gets ready to cut the small cake he bought for himself, but as soon as he takes a bite, the guy realizes it tastes horrible. Furious, he complains that he wasted 29 yuan on something so awful, saying he should have just spent it on games instead. Just then, he grabs his phone and sees the post he'd made, thanking his friend for the cake. Seeing that makes the boy sad, and he wishes that just one person truly cared about him. He leans back in his chair, thinking all he wanted was a single message from someone asking if he was okay. However, his fever makes him dizzy, and he collapses to the floor, thinking that not even the gods would grant such a simple wish. Suddenly, a strange sound catches his attention, and he hears a cry for help coming from a bright light. A bizarre creature appears, ready to pounce, and the person in danger? A girl with a ponytail. But out of nowhere, a powerful bolt of lightning strikes down from the sky, hitting the creature head-on. The attack traps the beast in a vortex of red energy, holding it completely in place. Inside, the monster's claw struggles to break free, but it can't. Watching all of this unfold, our protagonist wonders if he's been transmigrated. All of a sudden, the girl from before appears right in front of him, angrily calling his name. Lying on the ground, the guy has no idea what's going on. And now, with an expression of pure fury, she calls him Xiao Pai. Then, she slaps him for running off so recklessly. The blow sends him flying as she asks if he has some kind of death wish. Aching all over, the young man gets up and says his name is Jiang Xiao, and right then he's certain that, just like in those cliché stories, he's really been transported to another world. The place he's in now is called the Star Marshal Continent, a world very different from his own. The biggest difference between this world and his are the interdimensional portals scattered everywhere. These portals connect to strange dimensions filled with fantastic and dangerous creatures. Along with these beings comes a mysterious power known as Star Force, which only a few people can wield. An awakened one's talent is measured by the number of star slots they have. The more slots, the greater their potential. The body he now possesses belongs to Jiang Xiaopi, who has a very poor aptitude with only 9 slots. The girl then calls his name, snapping him out of his thoughts. She asks how long he's going to stay sitting there, and he remembers she's his super strong stepsister. His sister helps him up while he complains about the cold, and suddenly an unfamiliar voice calls out. The voice says she's finally found the 2 siblings out there in the snow. A moment later, a girl appears and runs toward them, asking if her friend Zhushu is okay. She hugs her friend, and the protagonist remembers that she's Yayan, his sister's best friend. The newcomer then turns to the young man and calls him by the cute nickname Little Pai Pai. After that, she scolds him for running off and asks if he knows just how dangerous this place is. The girl says his sister was worried sick, and the boy promises not to do it again. With that, he recalls that he was brought here to train because he'd gotten arrogant after his awakening. But during a hunt, he got lost and panicked, only to be saved by his sister at the very last second. Suddenly, the guy freezes, remembering something. His sister had only defeated one of the monsters that attacked him earlier, and out of nowhere, a giant white creature bursts from the snow, charging right at them. Seeing the monster rushing in his direction, the protagonist is completely terrified. He then screams for them to watch out that the monster is coming. Shu quickly grabs her brother, and he turns bright red as he finds himself face to face with 2. Meanwhile, the girl prepares an attack, channeling energy into her hands. Then, she unleashes her desolate wind ability, sending it straight toward the creature. With a determined look, the young woman shouts her friend's name, asking for help. Jia Yan replies that she got the message and prepares to act. Her giant sword is instantly engulfed in scorching flames. With a huge leap, she charges full throttle toward the white monster. Without mercy, the girl brings her flaming weapon down right on the creature's head. But the blow doesn't seem to have much of an effect on the monster. The impact of the sword sends Yayan flying backward. The creature is dragged several meters through the snow from the sheer force of the attack. The girl then realizes the monster's hide is incredibly thick, meaning it must be a high-level one. The creature is a lone snow-killin, and it doesn't look happy about the situation at all. But the warrior doesn't flinch and faces it down with her giant axe. Her axe then begins to glow with red energy, and she attacks the monster without hesitation, landing a direct hit. The snow-killin was finally defeated. From a distance, the protagonist watches the scene unfold. He then realizes they took down the beast in just 2 moves and sees the true power of an awakened one. Xiaoyan breathes a sigh of relief after the battle, looking a bit tired but satisfied with the result. Turning to her friend, she celebrates, saying their teamwork was simply flawless. The guy's sister, however, doesn't seem very happy with the situation, which confuses her friend. At that, Xiaoyan separates the two, complaining about the awkward moment, while Shu tells her brother to let go. She says the smell of the fight will attract more monsters and that they need to grab the star beads and get out of there. That's when the protagonist remembers that the beads are found inside the creatures and can grant abilities to whoever absorbs them. He understands that the fire and wind techniques they use came from the beads of other monsters. His sister's friend then calls him a little academic failure and tells him to come closer. She says she's going to teach him how to look for the bead so he won't fail his exams again. The girl explains that no matter the creature's shape, the star bead is always in the same place. The boy then asks if it's in the brain, and she confirms, saying that maybe he's not so hopeless after all. The warrior explains that the beast's skull is tough, and you need a sharp tool to get the bead. She then says you need to find the right angle to be able to cut into the creature's body. With a smile on her face, she forcefully shoves the dagger into the defeated monster's head. Then, the girl starts searching inside the beast's head with her bare hand. She rummages through the creature's insides but can't seem to find what she's looking for. After a moment, she gives up and says this Kylan didn't have a bead and that they were just unlucky. The friend tosses the dagger to the boy and tells him to go practice on the other monster, leaving him terrified. The young man thinks that in his 25 years he's never taken a life and now he has to do this. But he understands that this world is dangerous, and if he can't do this, he won't survive for long. Determined, the protagonist approaches the other monster to get the job done. However, Jiayan sighs and says that unfortunately neither of the monsters had a star bead. She explains that besides talent, an awakened one also needs luck, because the beads are extremely rare. The boy looks exhausted but replies that he understood the lesson she was trying to teach him. Seeing her brother, Shu Shu asks if he's okay, and seems to notice something different about his behavior. She then wonders if he suddenly matured, and if the slap she gave him was the cause. Shu Shu then calls out to her brother. She hands him a bead and says it's a star bead for him to absorb. The boy is amazed by the object, which looks like a tiny galaxy, and thinks he's finally seeing one up close. He then remembers that each slot can only hold one technique, and since he only has 9, he's very limited. Without wasting any time, he begins the process of absorbing the power of the bluish sphere. A large amount of energy flows out of the bead and into the protagonist's body. Suddenly, he finds himself in a strange place and wonders where he ended up. A system screen appears showing his information, and he questions this vision of the star map. Jiang Xiao understands that he's inside his own mind and is intrigued to see that he can have more than one map. Standing in that mental space, he senses that something different is about to happen to him. Just then, another screen pops up, showing the 2 techniques from the bead and asking if he wants to merge and absorb them. He's shocked to see that he can fuse 2 abilities into a single slot, something that should be impossible. In disbelief of this overpowered ability, the young man hits the yes button to confirm the fusion. With his confirmation, the sphere of power shatters into pieces, releasing its energy. Back in the real world, his sister asks if he managed to learn a new star technique. Before the guy can answer, his sister's friend shouts that they have a problem. She says a hunting squad is heading their way and tells them to stay alert. At that moment, a group of uniformed people appears, and one of them notes that the monsters have already been killed. A woman in the group comments that they passed by a nearly extinct clan and wonders if it was the same team. One of the members complains about their bad luck and worries about how he'll explain the lack of items to the boss. The captain then orders everyone to stay sharp and continue the search for the shaman cubs. With a sinister smile, he says that if they find the other team, they'll just take their beads. The squad then approaches the slain monster but decides to press on with their mission. After a brief analysis, the group moves away, leaving the creatures' bodies behind. Hiding behind a tree, the trio sighs in relief at not being discovered. The protagonist then asks why that squad was so eager to steal the cubs and the beads. The warrior calls him a failure and asks if he even knows how rare white ghost shamans are. She explains that in an entire clan of white ghosts, there's at most a single shaman among them. On top of that, the star beads from these shamans contain healing techniques, which are the rarest of all. A normal bead costs around 800, but a shaman's bead goes for over 200,000, leaving the boy in shock. His sister advises him to be careful not only of the creatures, but also of the humans in this place. She reveals that awakened ones also possess beads, and their energy is even greater than that of monsters. Hearing this, the protagonist is stunned as he understands that he could be targeted by other people for his star bead. Sitting in the snow, he laments having ended up in a world where he can be attacked by monsters or humans at any moment. His sister then gently strokes his hair and says the best thing to do is to get out of there as soon as possible. The girl warns that it's getting dark and their energy is low, so they need to get back to a safe place. So, the trio starts walking through the snow, searching for a place where they can spend the night safely. Seeing her brother so down, the girl wonders if he's upset because he didn't get a new technique. She tries to cheer him up, saying it's okay not to get a new skill, and that he shouldn't put so much pressure on himself. With a smile, the young man explains that he was just shocked by how brutal and dangerous this world truly is. The 2 siblings spot something in the distance and are left completely stunned. In front of them was a giant horde of monsters, stampeding in their direction. They looked furious and ready to attack. With no other option, the group starts running desperately, trying to escape. The warrior then shouts in surprise as she counts 16 monsters, wondering where they all came from. Shushu explains that white ghosts are solitary creatures, and so many of them together can only mean bad news. She reveals that the clan has a shaman, and the boy panics, knowing just how rare that is. Jiayan confirms their rarity and says that a group attack like this is highly unusual and dangerous. With no time to think, the horde of white ghosts continues to charge at them with full force. With glowing eyes and sharp fangs, the beasts show no sign of stopping their attack. Seeing that there's no escape, the warrior readies her sword. Using her scorching flame technique, the girl lunges forward and strikes the first monster in her path. The blow is a direct hit, managing to open a large gash in the creature. Meanwhile, her sister uses her Desolate Wind ability to push the other monsters out of the way. Right after, the girl prepares another powerful technique called Shattered Void in her hand. The red energy expands and hits several of the white ghosts at once with immense power. But even with their attacks, one of the creatures manages to break through their defense and goes straight for the protagonist. With its sharp claws, the monster prepares to deliver the final blow, but at the last second, his sister jumps in front of him, taking the attack in his place. The force of the impact sends both siblings flying. Seeing her friend fall, Jiayan screams her name in desperation amidst the chaos of the battle. The young man gets up from the ground and sees his sister lying right beside him after the creature's attack. On the white snow, you can see the trail of blood the girl's wound left behind. He then screams her name in panic, seeing her unconscious and injured on the ground. But in the midst of his despair, the protagonist remembers the new star technique he just acquired. Without a second thought, he uses the ability Blessing to heal his sister, who was gravely injured. The girl then wakes up feeling a strange energy coursing through her entire body. In her mind, she feels light and buoyant, as if floating in a vast ocean of power. Jushu notices the wound on her back is healing rapidly and begins to itch. Her whole body grows hot, as if she were in a thermal spring. The young woman then whispers that she's feeling very hot as her face turns red. The protagonist holds her in his arms, confused by her strange reaction. He then looks ahead and sees one of the white ghosts approaching to attack them again. And to make matters worse, more monsters appear. Suddenly, Jushu turns around with a determined look in her eyes. She gets to her feet, completely healed and with a powerful aura surrounding her. Seeing this, the protagonist is astonished and realizes something incredible is about to happen. Behind her, a golden star map materializes in the air, showcasing her immense power. Her hand is then covered in red energy as she prepares to unleash a devastating attack. The power is released, hitting one of the monsters head-on and trapping it in an energy vortex. She then clenches her fist to finish the creature once and for all. The vortex then slowly begins to close in. Just then, a system screen pops up, notifying him that he's earned a skill point for that kill. The protagonist is confused by the notification and wonders what a skill point is. Jiayan rushes to her friend's side, relieved to see that she's okay. But Shushu tells her to focus on the enemies. She then begins to concentrate fire in her hand, and hurls the ability at the white ghost. The strike sets the monster on fire, causing it to roll desperately in the snow, trying to put out the flames. The guy's sister warns that their energy won't last much longer and that they need to take out the shaman first. In the middle of the horde, the white ghost shaman finally appears. With a cry, the ancient creature uses its blessing ability to aid its allies in battle. A healing aura then covers the body of one of the monsters that was lying on the ground. With the shaman's help, the injured creature begins to recover, its muscles growing stronger. The protagonist realizes the leader is healing the others and says that at this rate, they'll be defeated by exhaustion. He then shouts his sister's name and asks her to throw him into the sky with her wind technique. The girl understands her brother's plan and prepares her ability to launch him upwards with all her might. Just like that, the young man is engulfed by a gust of wind and thrown high into the air. Up there, he begins to scan the area for the shaman. And then, he finally finds what he was looking for. The boy then yells down to his sister the target's position, 200 meters to the southwest. With a serious expression, the young woman runs as fast as she can to finish off the horde's leader. While his sister is running, the protagonist also moves in to help attack the shaman. Jiayan starts running toward the monsters, and with a shout, she unleashes a powerful fire attack on the creatures. She launches the ability right at them. The fire attack barrels forward, ready to hit its mark, but the girl reveals that was just a decoy. Seizing the opportunity, the protagonist leaps from behind the shaman and declares that he is the real target. The shaman then gives a sly smile. Apparently, the protagonist has fallen right into a trap. The leader's guards then turn around and charge full speed at the unprotected young man. Seeing the boy in danger, both girls look on, worried about what might happen. Then the young man is hit head-on by one of the attacks and cries out in pain from the heavy impact.